Good morning. I am back now with former President and I believe future President Donald Trump. Good morning, Mr. President. Welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Good morning.
I believe, and I have to tell the audience, full disclosure, I've already voted for you and J.D. Vance, and so I'm not a bipartisan or nonpartisan person. I'm hoping you win. I am cautiously optimistic. I appreciate you've made the program part of your closing pick. So this is a hypothetical, Mr. President. If somehow Kamala Harris managed to win this, she would have to deal with Xi Jinping, with whom you have dealt for a long time. How would Xi handle her?
Like a baby. He'd take all the candy away very quickly. You wouldn't have any idea what happened. It would be like a grand chess master playing a beginner. We would lose our country or be in World War III. It could be that would happen too, because she'd get exasperated. She's in no way able to handle him. He's a fierce individual. I watched her charade last night on CNN. It was an embarrassment that she's running for president, representing a major party.
That was pretty bad. I spent 2 hours talking about that last night. I think she's melting down and her internal polls are bad, but I want to stay on Xi for a moment. I think he's the biggest threat to America. I think he's dictator for life, and I think he's ruthless. Can you deter him from attacking Taiwan, Mr. President?
Yes, but I don't think he's a threat to America if you have the right president. I got along with him very good. I was tough on him, too. We took in $400 billion plus worth of tariffs. He wasn't thrilled with that, but I had a good relationship with him until COVID. That was a bridge too far, and I broke it up.
But he's leaning in pretty hard on Taiwan right now. He encircled the island this week with live fire drills. Do you think you can stop him from this nonsense? Because it would crash the world economy if he did that.
You don't know what's going to happen. He'd rather do it under them than have to do it with me.
There's a guy named Jimmy Lai, who's very important to America's Catholics, to the world's Catholic. He's a Catholic in Hong Kong, and he's a great publisher, a billionaire like you. Xi has him in jail. Do you think you could speak to Xi when you're back in the presidency about getting Jimmy Lai out and out of the country?
100% yes.
Thank you.
Don't forget,
that
I
matters
got
a lot to
basketball
Catholics.
players. Look, when I was there, basketball players told things from Louis Vuitton, right? And they were being drafted. They were being drafted. It was a big story. Remember? And it's automatic 10 years in China. I got them out. I said, listen, do me a favor. Let these guys out. They went there with the national basketball team, USA, was playing China.
Yep.
And they got caught stealing things. And I got them out. And I got them out relatively easy. I asked them, would you do me a favor?
if you get Jimmy Lai out, that will be a great victory for freedom around the world. And he's an old man. He needs to come and be in America.
100% I'll get him out. He'll be easy to get out. But we don't have people that even talk about it. We don't have people talk.
We don't. They've abandoned him. So, Mr. President, everything about deterring China from attacking Taiwan, and we're going to get to Iran in a moment, depends upon your Secretary of Defense. Now, I got a lot of friends who are on your list. Tom Cotton, Mike Pompeo, Michael Waltz. My son actually worked for Waltz. Will you get your Secretary of Defense named early, like the week of the election, so they can get to work?
Yeah, I could, except it sounds... Are you talking about earlier than the victory? I'd rather have the victory first and then name.
No, after the election, like the first week after the election. So that
I could do that very soon. I could do it. I have many good choices. I have 4 or 5 good choices. You named a couple of them, and they're very good. A lot of really very good choices.
Because that's the chain of command. You to the Secretary of Defense, commanders.
Yep,
and
that's right.
SecDef
has
has
to
to
guy
be
you
strong.
can work with. And you have to have a guy deal. You need to deal with that position. No, absolutely. But I'm telling you, like you say, Jimmy Lai, that's going to be so easy. I'll get him out. There's no reason for him being there right now, except that he doesn't respect Biden and Kamala. Who would?
Yeah,
Who would respect them?
I think you're right.
I watched her last night, and she's like a child almost.
It was pretty awful last night. She can't communicate very well. And today's Wall Street Journal number.
Performance. Yeah, it was the worst performance. She hasn't had a good one, but this was the worst performance. When you watch it, it was a longer period.
Yeah, I know you're joining me by cell.
With Brett Baer, the way they were rushing the questions, the people, her people were him to stop. Now, with you, because you have a tendency to go much longer than you agreed to, my people will say, "Thank you, sir. Thank you." And you go through them like it's candy, okay? You go through them like Grant took Richmond, okay? But
Your comms people are pros. Your comms people are pros. Let's go back to the biggest threat, nuclear war. It's probably Iran. And our enemies, the other ones can be deterred with someone like you and a good Secretary of Defense. I'm not sure about Iran because they're run by fanatics. We talked about it last time. Do you think you can get Israel and our Gulf state allies to get rid of that regime before they get a nuke, Mr. President?
Well, I don't necessarily know that you have to, but I think that we are in a much better position. Had they followed Biden's advice, they would be waiting for a bomb to drop out of them. But fortunately, Bibi calls me quite a bit, and we have a lot of talks. But I always say, make up your own mind. But Bibi has his own opinions. Had Bibi listened to Biden, he would right now be waiting for a nuclear bomb to drop in the state. Okay? And now it's the opposite. He's put him in a very good negotiating position. I think he can do it. You want another? I think he's in a position where he can fight them, or he can make a deal, and a good deal, a real deal.
Do you think the Abraham Accords will bring in Saudi Arabia quickly after you return to office?
Yes, very quickly. Not only Saudi Arabia, many other countries. I even mentioned when I did all the things I did with Iran. Iran was broke. You've admitted that. They were ready to make a deal. I could have made a deal then. But then we had that accident happen, despite getting millions and millions of bucks I got the first time. And, it would have been for him to make. So I said, good luck, make that deal, it'll be easy. They never made the deal. And they put us at risk by not making that deal, but they could have made a deal. I really think that Iran right now can be spoken to very easily. And 4 months ago or 2 months ago, I think it would have been much more difficult.
If necessary, will you use force to stop them from getting the nuclear weapon online, Mr. President?
Yes, I would.
All right. I want to go to a big question, and I want to let you have the floor on this big question. It's not the greatest connection in the world, but it's an important. Biographers are going to be writing about you for decades and centuries. And one of the questions they're going to come up against is, why do some people hate you so much? I mean, Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. I've run into it. We saw it online repeatedly. The stuff they call you, the Hitler stuff, the fascist stuff. I saw your post on Truth Social. Why do you destabilize people this way?
Well, it's a gift, or it's something maybe less than a gift, but it's one way or the other. Because I have a tendency to win. It's a nice thing, and that bothers people. Sometimes I play a little bit rough, but they play rough. They are rough and vicious people. They are vicious people. They are dirty people. They've weaponized government. They've weaponized everything. And it's actually made me more popular. It's hard to believe. That's what you're also going to be wrestling with for years, because every time they do something, it makes me more popular. Even I'm surprised about the others. But the people get it. The thing I've learned is the people are very smart. They get it. They get it better than the Democrats get it. And every single time they pulled out weaponization, every single time, with Fani, Fani is not even though she looks funny. With Fani, with everybody, every time they do this, it's shocking. My poll still called me, "Sir, you're up 7 points." The next time, "Sir, you went up 6.2 points," and it's rather amazing. But Trump derangement syndrome, I don't know. I think I'm a nice person, but I'm a negotiator. But I win. Look, I've won for the Republican Party. I've taken the Republican Party and made it an entirely different party. Look at the numbers today. The Republican Party is a very big, powerful party. Before it was sort of an elitist party with real stiffs running it. You know what a stiff is? A stiff is
oh, gosh, yes.
You know what?
You're having fun, too. I do think part of it is that you enjoy yourself, and they don't. But I know biographers are going to study this particular line. Were you aware when you got into politics that people would end up hating you this much?
Well, they hated me in business too because I won. When you win, people look. I wasn't supposed to beat Hillary, and I'll tell you little secrets. when it was in, I guess, 2020, I made phone calls for a congressman. And when we had like 38 more than they thought, remember that? That was me. I did that. I did all of that. I did teletown halls for congressmen. I'm doing it right now.
Yep.
I'm doing it right now. You're going to have more congressmen in the Republican Party than you think because I'm making teletown halls, meaning I call their district. And the advantage is I'm the only one people will get. Because the concept doesn't work. I'm the only one that people get on the phone for. And they get on by the thousands. If I make a call for a congressman who's even or a little down, to give me the names of everybody that's even, a little down, or a little up. Those are the ones you have to worry about, right? A little down, a little up. And then I make 35, 40 calls. Every one of them will win. And nobody knew that in, was it 20 or 22? 20, I guess 20. When we took in.
But when Ronald Reagan hammered Democrats, when Ronald Reagan crushed them in 1984, they did not hate him. So I don't really understand how otherwise sane and rational people lose their perspective. You will be there for 4 years. You will exit in January of 29. You will restore the American defense system. You will get some trade deals worked out. I'm going to talk to you about the EU going after Apple and the English Labor Party, Great Britain's Labor Party, is going after Elon Musk. I'll talk to you about all that. You defend America. Why does this upset so many people? You must think about this.
Well, it's a personality type a little bit, I guess. Maybe Ronald Reagan was a softer person. He was a softer person. I like him. I like his style. But with me, so much comes at me at one time that I can't necessarily be that nice because it's too much. I don't have.
That makes sense.
To everybody, like I am to you.
That makes sense.
I can't. I don't have the time. I just don't have the time. And
now, Mr. President,
somebody like him. Nobody ever came in like I did. Excuse me. Nobody ever came in. They went after me before I got elected. They said we're going to impeach him. Before I was even in office, it was a terrible thing. These people are crude, rude, and vicious. And by the way, he's only a vessel. So is Joe Biden. He's not the leader of the party. He never was. He's a vessel. And he was a perfect vessel because he would have done anything they told him. He even got out when they told him to get out. And she's no different. She's a vessel. I watched her last night. She's got no intelligence. She's got nothing. She's got nothing. And you can't have a leader like that. And so instead, this very powerful party, the Democrat Party, that's vicious and crooked as hell, they take over people. They envelop people. Unless they had the right person, but they don't have. They sort of like these people. Because they're like clay. You can do whatever you want with them.
So you're going to have a very tough choice the day after you take the oath of office, or maybe even the day that you take the oath of office. You're either going to have to pardon yourself or you're going to have to fire Jack Smith. Which one will you do?
Oh, it's so easy. It's so easy. Like, he's a crooked person. He's a dishonest person. We had a brave, brilliant judge in Florida. She's a brilliant judge, by the way. I don't know her. I never spoke to her. We had a brave and very brilliant judge, and what she had suffered through with these animals was incredible. She was listening to why putting out statements. She doesn't move fast. She doesn't this. She doesn't that. Well, she moved fast. But the fact is, and the big case was that case, the boxing case. You even said, "Oh, that's the big case." We won the
yes, I did.
Case. We're in the process of winning all the other cases. I think, even sometimes when we have to go to appeal, we got immunity at the Supreme Court. It's so easy. I would fire him within 2 seconds.
Will you pardon Hunter Biden?
I wouldn't take it off the books. See, unlike Joe Biden, despite what they've done to me, they've gone after me so viciously, despite what, and Hunter's a bad boy. There's no question about it. He's been a bad boy. All you have to do is see the laptop from hell. But I happen to think it's very bad for the country. I think you know this, but most people don't because most people aren't of your talent. I could have gone after Hillary. I could have gotten Hillary Clinton very easily. And when they said lock her up, whenever they said lock her, they'd start doing 30,000 people, lock her up, lock her up. What did I do? I always said, take it easy, just relax. We're winning. Take it easy, take it easy. I could have had her put in jail. And I decided I didn't want to do that. I thought it would look terrible if you had the wife of the President of the United States put in jail. I thought it would be very bad if you did that. And I made sure that it didn't happen, okay? I thought it would be bad. What I didn't know is that they were going to play dirty with me. Who thinks that? Who would think that?
I didn't see it coming. Two impeachments. I
Trump
did not see it coming.
said.
Now, they will impeach you again on day
Nobody
one
thought.
if you fire Jack Smith or you pardon yourself. Are you prepared to be impeached again and again and again if they have the House? Because they just will.
No, I don't think they'll impeach me if I fire Jack Smith. Jack Smith is a scoundrel. He's a very dishonest man, in my opinion. Very dishonest man. And they picked a mean man. He's a mean man, but his problem is he's so mean that he always goes too far, like the raid of Mar-a-Lago. You know, I'm going to sue them. I am suing them, essentially. The papers. But I'm suing them for raiding Mar-a-Lago. They went into my young son's room, and they went through his clothing. They went through my wife's room, and they went through.
It's the beginning. That was the beginning of your great comeback. Let me now talk to you a little bit about, again, biographers thinking long term. Your politics are most like that of Nelson Rockefeller's in my lifetime. I just think you are Nelson Rockefeller, except he collected art and you collect golf courses. Did you ever know Rocky?
I did know.
What did you think of him, and what do you think of my comparison of your politics?
I don't think we're that similar. I don't think we're that similar, but I respected him greatly. He was a man that was the biggest upset that he never became president. You know, he couldn't understand it because
he was always
with,
mad. Yeah.
Well, he was mad that he couldn't crack it, and he was a very talented man.
He's a developer. He built 30 Rock, and you're a developer. You built Trump Tower. I just think you're not a particularly conservative. You're not as conservative as Ronald Reagan, and you've tried to make that point. You're kind of a moderate Republican, aren't you?
I think I'm conservative on some things. I'm very, very conservative on trade, maybe more conservative than any human being that's ever lived. I'm very conservative on the border. I would say I'm a strong conservative. I would say, in a way, more conservative because of trade. Look, nobody's conservative on trade than me. Look what I'm doing with the tariffs. I will have our country making a fortune, and I'm a really good businessman. That's what I really am. And I will have our country making a fortune with a short period of time.
I believe that. I think you'll bring back nuclear energy. But Reagan had a 600-ship Navy. You're starting at 275 to 280. Do you think you can get the Navy back funded and doing innovative things like the submersibles?
I do, but the problem is, over the last 40 years, we just don't build ships anymore. When you go to shipyards, they don't even make. I mean, the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier came in, 100% over budget, billions and billions, $16 billion or something. And when I went to look at it, one of the first things I said, this ship is a disaster. It's been built for 7-8 years, and it's not even built. And I went to look, and I said, how come the elevators are magnetized? They're magnet elevators, which is no good. It's okay in good weather, but not when you have the ocean pounding them, right? Instead of hydraulic elevators, right? And I looked at that beautiful sight of the airplanes being thrown off the plane with the steam. I said, why are we using electric? Why are we not using, for the catapult? It's a catapult, So 50 years we use steam. And I went to the ship and I said to the admiral came. It was a little disrespectful, but the admiral came to see me. I said, Admiral, in all due respect, the ship is 5 years late. It's over budget by $10 billion. And the catapult doesn't work, and the elevators. I'd like to see the catapulters. And I did. I said, let me ask you a question. Which better, steam or electric? It's better, sir. Why is it better? Well, it's stronger. It says, a lot of reasons. It didn't matter. I said, why did they use steam? They met with the architect of the boat. I said, have you designed a ship before? This is like the biggest ship in the world. I think it's the longest ship. It's, the Gerald Ford, the Ford, number one style. And I heard the things that was so stupid. We're using electric. We have electric. Everything has to be electric. The cars, the catapult. But I said, which is better? The steam, sir. Why do they use electric? Because you can go back and forth quickly, but you can't put the plane on. By the time you put the plane on, it takes 48 seconds, and by that time you have a new head of steam. And I can fix it with a blowtorch and a hammer. When the electric, we have to send to MIT to get Dr. John Trump of MIT. Because he's the only one smart enough to fix it. Nobody can fix it, sir. And if a wave hits it, it's over. Shorts out. Now, who are the geniuses that do this? So we have a problem. We don't build ships anymore. In World War I, we would build a ship. In World War II, we would build a ship a day. Think of that, a ship a day. Today,
That's what
don't
we
build
need.
a ship a year.
That's what the
That's what we
Chinese are
need.
doing. Do you think you can get, task J.D. Vance, task whoever your Secretary of Defense is, we want a ship a day? We don't. I'd take a ship a month if we could
something
get
that is considered. I'm saying, there are a lot of great shipyards all over the world. Super people allowed that to happen. They've taken the shipping business just like they almost took the car business. I hope you're happy that I stopped the big China plant in Mexico. Right? You didn't know that, right?
No.
I stopped it dead. Well, then you didn't listen to my last couple of speeches. They were building the biggest plant, and I said, if I'm elected, I'm going to put 100% down on every car. None of them is going to come into the United States. When they heard that, they stopped building the plants. I did Detroit such a favor, and I stopped it just by making a statement. Because the most beautiful word in the dictionary is the word tariff. But these people that were in our country, well, look at her. She doesn't even know what a tariff is. She is.
Mr. President, I have not talked much about her because there's nothing to argue about. She's empty.
No.
She's vacuous.
She's an empty vessel, but she's beautifully pushed around by a very smart, very powerful, very liberal, viciously liberal, but a very, very smart, powerful party called the Democrats, and they're vicious. They're too vicious because that's what it put somebody like Jack Smith in. Everything he's lost almost everything, by the way. You know why he lost? Because he went too far.
Well, let me close with this, Mr. President. Elon Musk made the mistake. I think he did a great thing for the country of buying X and being in favor of you. So the United Kingdom's Labour government is coming after him. The EU is going after Apple and Google. Our, quote, allies are trying to destroy our greatest companies. Now, I want you to use tariffs on China. They're our enemy. And I want you to shut down Iran again. But what are you going to do about the EU and the UK attacking our companies?
Well, if the EU and the UK go after Apple and Google and all those companies, and the great companies, if they do that, then they're not our friends. Do you think they are our friends? Let me tell you, they're just as tough as China, almost. China has a little edge. But if you go to the EU, what they've done is very vicious. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. You have a $312 billion deficit with the EU. You know, the EU is a mini, but not so mini, is a mini China. They treat us very, very badly. And I will tell you, if they're attacking our country, which I know they are, you know, Tim Cook called me up last week, and he said, "Sir, I don't know what to do." I said, "What's your problem, Tim?" He said, "They're the only one I can call because there's nobody in this administration that has any brains." I said, "What's wrong?" They fined me $15 billion, and now they add another two, so it's $17 billion. I said, "By the way, can Apple afford that? That's a lot of money." But they fined him, and they used the money. I said, "Did you do anything wrong?" He said, "No," but everybody sort of says that, I guess. But let me tell you, all of those companies will be set free if you have the right president. If you have the wrong president, like her, those companies will eventually be put out of business because they'll keep doing it. They'll just drain those companies. These are great American companies, and whether you like them or not, the president has to protect them. They have to. That's what I didn't understand about Google. Google is being sued for antitrust by these people, and how can they possibly be on the side of those people? But they are, I guess. Although I think they've become much. If you look at Google lately, I think you're going to see they've become much more inclined towards Trump. They're starting to like Trump because they're starting to get it. But
Well, they are beginning to. Mr. President, I do not want to make you late.
You've got companies will be in good shape. Don't worry about that.
You've got all the momentum in the world. How do you feel about what your internal polls show you?
Well, they show me that we're going to win before the election because we're winning in Georgia big, very big. We're winning in Michigan. The auto workers all the way because I'm doing the mandate. We're going to build cars, and we're going to get big factories in Detroit and other parts of Michigan, big, and South Carolina and other places. They're going to.
Well, I'm going to Pennsylvania for Dave McCormick tonight. How do you feel about the Keystone State?
Well, I feel good about Dave McCormick too, and I think I've helped Dave a lot. I put him into every one of them. Don't forget, I have rallies. I had a rally 55,000. I had a rally 100,000 people. That would be the Butler rally. One was 55, and one was 100,000 people, 101,000 people. I put Dave out front. You know, Dave was with me 1 minute. He was on the stage 1 minute before the bullets flew from the maniac. He was standing there 1 minute. He got lucky. He got off the stage, but he was there 1 minute before. He was there right at the beginning, and they flew right at the beginning. He was off the stage. He had just gotten off the stage. He's a very good man, and he will be a great senator. And I think I was extremely helpful to him.
I agree with that. And Bernie Marino and Eric Hovde and Mike Rogers, and you're doing great. Thank you for your time this morning. I hope I talked to you on Election Day, and I've already cast my vote for you. So everyone out there who says I'm easy on Trump, I'm not easy on Trump. I just know what's good for the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, you. Thank you.